Belief is incredibly powerful. It's something that many of us revere and even envy sometimes in others, is their ability to believe. But we don't always talk about where belief is born from or what is required to make belief have the power. And that comes with trust. Trust is something that doesn't just come on with a flip of a light switch. It is something that is built incrementally and over time. It's something that is built over those successes and failures, the interactions with others. When it's yourself, it's knowing that you're doing the work, that you've paid your dues, that you're fully invested enough to trust that no matter how much you get caught up in those failures and the worthiness of everything, that you can persevere because you have to. It's a need. It's not just a want anymore. What kind of trust is built and reinforces the belief of a company that started in 1993 making pinball games to re-releasing another title completely and wholly different 20 years later? How much did that belief come into play to be able to allow them to be successful, to be able to execute despite those who didn't believe in them, for them to put worth in their process and their projects when others weren't doing it, that actually had the ability to make it happen for them? And where does that trust and belief reinforce an ability to do it yourself when no one else will? I think these are all valid questions in the story of how Warframe came to be and where Digital Extremes had to fight to build that trust, both for Schmalz as the CEO who started making these games with Digital Extremes' inception in 1993, but also the team that he built around him, who developed the love for things like Dark Sector and this idea and belief that this thing that needed to see the light of day and that it just wasn't put on a shelf and replaced with another idea. It's that trust in a vision. Because as a creative, it's so easy to not trust that vision and to move to another one, to another idea and another idea, when you start realizing that all the ideas have a central principle and a central thing, and that they're all often related because it's the thing you care about the most. And that's what we see with Digital Extremes, is even as they made games for other studios, worked on Unreal Tournament and other titles with Epic Games, that along the way, forward and backward, that when Dark Sector and in its seed form was born, it's always been present in their mind as the thing they wanted to bring to life. Owning that and developing a trust that you're never going to feel right without trying, even after trying in 2008 and doing it and finding it wasn't what it needed to be, that you kept coming back. That's the beginning of trust, is that unparalleled desire to make something happen where people know you're in it. People say ride or die, and while I generally don't always like that term, I find that successes and failures and happiness and with the creative process were so linked to this project that Digital Extremes would have had to be a completely different company, even if the same name, to not have made this product. It was so defining of who they are. And having such a strong vision is only contagious when building a team that shares that buy-in and vision. That the people who are willing to continue to not just want to cash the paychecks for Star Trek and other IP-driven games from other companies. Best-selling author Neil Gaiman, in a commencement speech for a graduation years ago, and many times since, has referred to the mountain. The mountain is this creative thing, this desire, this goal that each thing you do should get you closer to it. And that's not even climbing the mountain, it's just getting to the mountain. So when he talks about jobs he takes or things he does, it's does he do it to get him there? And when we talk about belief and in this trust as a team, you can look at whether they were aware of it or not, the jobs they took to be able to keep paying the bills, to keep a team alive, the choices they made in developing their talent and pitching to publishers were all driven with one goal in mind. That was to bring this Dark Sector game to life. Now, when that moment came in 2013, when it was a do or die moment, it was a choice of whether or not to keep going forward, how to let go of teams and to do these things that would take them from the mountain. They chose not to take that path. They chose a path that allowed them to believe in themselves enough, to bet on themselves, to risk it all, to be able to make this dream come to reality. And that doesn't happen without all the trust and belief built on so many different layers. Trust built on a chronology of succeeding together, about learning how to make a game, learning how the value of the IP, and knowing that whether it be the CEO all the way down to any level of designer, artist, that when there are small wins, they were everyone's win. This was a collective process. So to have that kind of unified trust and buy-in, that comes from those small pieces. That can't be won overnight. So trust is built in those little moments. Those moments that Schmalz put in 1993, going into Unreal, and all these things became the foundation for all the other subsequent trust pieces built from all his team. That in that, they believed in this. They believed in each other. And when it came down, push came to shove, how easy would it have been for so many of us to throw in the towel when we saw how difficult it was, not just for our own visions, but the responsibility of taking care of all these other people who believe and trust in you, to trust in those moments and in yourself enough to invest in that risk, feeling that while it's a risk, it's less a gamble and more just happenstance if it doesn't succeed. That it's better to go out swinging and taking a chance, and knowing that everyone else there, while they would be a little disheartened if it doesn't succeed, is fully engaged and ready to go and fight with you. And that was built in moments, small and early, and built incrementally over 20 years. And that belief, small in the beginning and small in pieces, is why Warframe has seen the large successes it's found. Being a game that has had no less than 50 million unique players over its lifespan, hitting the charts at a high level, that doesn't happen without a level of trust and buy-in. And that comes in and reinforces that belief. And that same belief is contagious throughout the team, and then later on into the audience that has come to believe in this product, that it's going to be good. And when it's not, that they're going to be accountable and take the measures necessary to make the game great, to make the choices in the best interest of its longevity and success, so that both the company, Digital Extremes, can continue to thrive and make this thing a reality, but also from a point of accountability that the player base feels fully in trust and belief that they're going to get the best version of what this game can be, even if it takes a stumble and a fall occasionally to get there. That's something that can't be done overnight. That's something that has to be done in those little moments. And it's important to realize that when you look at yourself and whether or not you can trust in your ability to do so, that it's not something so big, that you can break it into those little pieces of trust, something that's easier to digest and swallow, so that you can build enough belief in yourself to take the steps forward to make your own dream a reality.